Hello, my name is Randy Cryle. I want to talk to you about a great book I just read by Dr. Colin Campbell. It's called Whole: Rethinking the Science of Nutrition. Dr. Campbell is the author of the national bestseller, The China Study. Fantastic book. Whole kind of takes off where this one left off. You don't have to read this one first, but if you read the new book, you'll probably want to go back and read this one. And Dr. Campbell was featured in a very successful, excellent documentary called Forks Over Knives. Dr. Campbell has over 50 years of expertise in nutritional biochemistry. Dr. Campbell got started out with about 4 years as a research associate with MIT, and ultimately ended up being in charge of the China Study, which is a huge, once in human history medical study of nearly 1 billion people. Early in Dr. Campbell's career in the Philippines, he noticed that the wealthier children were the ones getting liver cancer. These were the children on high protein diets, high animal-based protein diets of meat, dairy, and eggs. And this really stumped him for a while, but ultimately it completely changed the direction of his career. This new book is focused on biology, genetic expression, intracellular metabolism, and nutrition. Dr. Campbell was part of the FDA. He used to be involved with setting national policy, so he worked at very high levels. Super intelligent, flexible, respected, obviously a man of great integrity. He really just followed the whole truth everywhere it took him around the globe. I hope you'll take the time to read this important book to learn more about how cancer really happens. Ultimately, this new book is about empowerment, prevention, and hope. The new book goes into how we got into this unsustainable mess and how we can fix it. The bottom line is how we fix it is one of us at a time, kind of using our dollars and our behavior as our votes. Truly, the political system is broken. The healthcare system is really more of a disease care system, and Dr. Campbell explains how that all came about. The systemic issues are ultimately caused by widespread ethical rot. This new book will help you gain a deep understanding of the flaws inherent in our reductionist scientific methodology versus understanding more intimately the infinite complexity of our biochemistry and genetics in relation to our nourishment. We'll learn all of the key differences between SAD, Standard American Diet, versus a whole foods, all plant-based diet. In my opinion, the best offense and defense is a high-quality vegan diet, completely free of all animal-based food sources, a zero cholesterol diet. The future of the human race, as well as the health of our planet, are at stake. So yes, this is a very important book by a highly credible and ethical author. Learn critical thinking skills relative to evaluating so-called scientific research. A whole foods, plant-based diet works so well against so many diseases and ailments, you'll wonder if there is not just one root cause of ill health: poor nutrition. Thousands of symptoms with one primary cause. Understand the paradigm trap that most of our most brilliant minds are trapped within, and how that has led directly to our healthcare crisis. We all need to understand how the transparency and integrity of the scientific method has faded and has been eroded by opinions and bias. The problem boils down to runaway greed. Dr. Campbell has spent decades punching through the invisible walls of the scientific paradigm He says sometimes you have to cross the line to find the line. At its best, the scientific method looks at outliers and says, prove it. Dr. Campbell has done exactly this. Dr. Campbell's life and career became all about discovering the truth wherever it led based on outlier observations. In a nutshell, Dr. Campbell's results show that experiments with rats were consistent with human population and case control studies that showed impressive correlations between animal-based protein consumption and cancer rates. By the way, per calorie, kale and spinach have twice the protein of a lean cut of beef. Milk protein is called casein. Casein is the most significant carcinogen. At 20% of a rat's diet, almost invariably, that amount leads to cancer growth. Animal-based proteins turn on cancer growth. Once turned on, cancer growth is robust. Dr. Campbell could turn cancer off and then back on. Plant proteins at high levels had zero effect on cancer development. Also worth noting is many people have actually reversed cancer, typically called spontaneous remission. Dr. Ruth Heydrich is a great example of that, having done so 31 years ago. More experiments have showed that animal protein intake determined cancer development far more than the dose of a chemical carcinogen. Meat, dairy, and eggs, our most revered nutrient, promotes our most feared disease. On page 39, it's noted that casein is the most relevant chemical carcinogen ever identified, casein being dairy protein. Reductionism is where most research is focused. Reductionists think that everything can be understood if you understand all the parts, while holists believe the whole can be greater than the sum of the parts. This book can also help you gain a deeper understanding of philosophers as lovers of wisdom. MFO enzymes, animal-based proteins, put the body into enzyme overdrive. Dr. Campbell's reductionist research taught him some fascinating things about the big picture. Read his new book, Whole, to gain a better understanding of the pointlessness of reductionist precision. Dr. Campbell describes genetic medicine as the ultimate reductionist fantasy. The discipline of genetics is unimaginably complex. There is no doubt that genetic interventions will help the 0.01% of the populations with rare genetic conditions caused by faulty genes. However, our society's general health is failing now. Dr. Campbell is convinced that most people just think whatever they want to believe about the causes and prevention of cancer. Dr. Campbell strongly suggests that nutritional input is the primary factor in gene expression. His ideas do encourage hope and empowerment, which do go a long way to get people to change their behaviors. Page 130 of Whole shows where in experimental animal studies in Dr. Campbell's own labs, cancer progression could actually be reversed by nutritional changes. CBP is the carcinogen bioassay program. Based on CBP's own stated criteria, cow's milk protein should be considered a carcinogen. Consumption leads to cancer, and cancer halts or goes into remission once milk protein consumption is stopped. Saying that nutrition only modifies the development of cancer and does not cause it is like saying Grass seed causes lawns, but watering, weeding, and sunlight only modify lawns' development. We live in a world where carcinogenic mutations abound, many from natural sources such as sun, viruses, and mold. Vitamin C-like activity from 100 grams of whole fresh apple was 263 times as potent as the same amount of the isolated chemical vitamin C. So, learn the truth in this new book about supplements versus whole foods. Even worse than flushing money down the toilet on supplements is that some of them can actually be harmful. Additionally, I think many supplements give us a false sense of security that then encourage us to take on some poor nutritional habits. Dr. Campbell says, "It is not appropriate to propose or even infer that these so-called natural supplements are the best health option without also making it clear that routine consumption of whole plant-based foods from whence these products came from will produce far better health benefit at a far lower price." While we know littering and polluting water is bad, somehow most of us have accepted that polluting our own bodies is okay, as if what we eat has no impact on the rest of the environment. Plus, the water, energy, and plant-based foods wasted in the production of animal-based food sources is a global environmental nightmare. Dr. Campbell does go into the subjects of animal cruelty, antibiotics, and root causes of human poverty. It's not difficult to connect the dots. Dr. Campbell does it beautifully. He notes, millions die of starvation and related diseases annually while feeding meat-producing animals rather than feeding humans directly means we lose upwards of 90% of the calories available for human consumption. 80% of our diet should be carbohydrates. Animal-based foods have 0 carbohydrates. We need 0 of the cholesterol provided in the animal-based foods either. Our liver will produce exactly how much cholesterol we need. Subtle power and its wielders. You really need to read this for yourself to understand how deep the problem is. It will become very clear to you why reductionist science is not producing good health. The goal of our health system is not good health. It is profit for a few industries at the expense of the public good. Profit is the goal at the center of our healthcare system that skews everything. As an example, for schools to get so-called affordable lunches, they must offer milk, dairy milk, as an option. Remember, casein, milk protein, is what I call rocket fuel for cancer promotion. And that's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of dairy's negative impact on health. Add in the cholesterol, lactose, estrogen that most of our milk has, including, most of our milk also has growth hormones and antibiotics. I can't help but view dairy as toxic sludge. Behavior that supports the current invalid paradigm is rewarded. Other behavior is disincentivized. This vicious cycle puts more power into fewer hands. He who has the most money and power has the biggest megaphone. The biggest megaphone to promote the big lies, such as milk builds strong bones. In 2004, big pharmaceutical firms spent $61,000 per year per each and every physician in the USA to promote its products. There is a huge mountain of money being made by suppressing holistic nutrition in favor of reductionist health solutions that, by the way, are not working. Dr. Campbell explains the difference between technology and true science. Technology is defined more by market potential. Again, the golden rule, dollars. The subjugation of science to industrial profits has occurred for more than 100 years. The system is now a self-replicating and self-perpetuating machine. If an idea can't get a barcode on it, the idea is not likely to get funded. Learn to follow the money. Professors, research funding, government agencies, nonprofits, fundraisers, media, professional health associations. I hope you read the book, and I believe you'll be disgusted by the lies from our own government and the not-so-subtle influence industry has over organizations you might believe are independent and looking out for your health. Dr. Campbell describes in detail the laundering of political influence by the powers that be. Biology is incomprehensibly complex. The body is a part of a food web and all of nature, not merely millions of years of evolution, a trillion cells, many organs, and functional systems. Like Dr. John McDougall, Dr. Campbell is now convinced there is no healthier way to eat than a whole foods, plant-based diet without added fat, salt, or refined carbs. Making the dietary changes personally to experience the results is the most effective way to convince oneself. To start a real revolution, more of us should challenge our individual beliefs, change our diets, and transform society as a whole.